So following the student-led protests in Bangladesh, it was the interim government itself that requested the deployment of a fact-finding mission to Bangladesh. So we, the UN Human Rights Office, sent this mission. From the 16th of September, we deployed a mission that was supported by a forensic physician, weapons expert, gender expert, open source analyst, among others. The team visited hotspots, sites of protests, including universities. They also visited hospitals, and they visited just key areas in different districts of Bangladesh. We also received more than 900 submissions from individuals.
In terms of expertise, we need traditional human rights experts and investigators who conduct interviews and look at the information received. This is coupled with digital forensics experts that analyze the digital imagery received, as you can see behind me, with a view to verifying the information received by the investigators, the human rights investigators. And here you will see imagery of some of the protests that occurred in July and August 2024, captured from various angles. So you see how we have zoomed in on certain key areas here. For example, we have a shooter and trying to triangulate and cross-check the information to see exactly what happened and to verify information that was received from witnesses, victims, and information providers. We also have specialist expertise. We have forensic pathologist who is able to go to hospitals, interview and speak to doctors and other medical workers, as well as victims, and even more importantly, examine medical records and look at imagery of on bodies and on people's wounds to ascertain the mode of injury, the mode of death, and to build on a story.
One of the key things, very wide use of shotguns for demonstration controls, and which was also confirmed by the different hospital directors. The shotguns were aimed above the waist, to chest, and to the heads of the persons. So over several hundred eye injury was declared by the head of the Ophthalmology Institute in Dhaka.
Coupled with this, also having a weapons expert that was able, one, to interact with security forces, but also to look at digital imagery such as this, to look at the weaponry used.
Well, of course, we're looking at issues related to lawful use of force against largely unarmed civilians by different types of security forces. So, understanding how the security forces themselves consider their roles and their functions and their powers in a crowd control situation is very important. Understanding what their doctrine is and the tactics that they employ, the way that they describe it to us, which type of weapons are they authorized to use according to their own regulations in certain situations. All of that is important contextual information to understand. And then looking at the physical evidence, you can start to see where certain types of weapons were employed, certain types of ammunition in those weapons, and the impacts that they had on people, on property.
Among our key findings, there are reasonable grounds to believe that officials of the former government, its security and intelligence apparatus, together with violent elements associated with the former ruling party, committed serious and systematic human rights violations. These include hundreds of extrajudicial killings, extensive arbitrary arrest and detention, and torture and ill treatment, including of children, as well as gender-based violence. These violations were carried out with the knowledge, coordination, and direction of the former political leadership and senior security officials, with the specific goal of suppressing the protests and keep the former government's grip on power. There are reasonable grounds to believe that certain crimes against humanity have been committed, directed against protesters and their supporters. Efforts to ensure accountability have begun, with many cases being lodged, including before Bangladesh's domestic International Crimes Tribunal. There are major challenges and deficiencies in the current legal system, and significant steps need to be undertaken to ensure compliance with international standards of due process and fair trial.